There's a new folding e-bike on the market from a new brand, Crooked Path e-bikes. In the e-bike world, there are companies with enough volume to make their own designs, and then there are what I call template brands that take other companies' designs and put their name on it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are some good template bikes, but usually it takes something special for a template bike to catch my eye. And in a way, that's where Crooked Path comes in, but they're really a third type of company because they take parts that are available and try to assemble the best possible bike. When the owner told me that and told me that their focus is customer service, I said, go on, I'm listening. Then they told me they had been a KevCentral subscriber for years. I said, send me the bike. And here it is in Arctic White, the Crooked Path Rogue. So have a seat, see what I did there, relax, and we'll see if this is worthy of our attention. Let's start out like I like to do up top at the folding e-bike beanstalk. A very tall beanstalk with flat bars, which I measured at 615 millimeters end to end. For grips, nothing fancy, very basic plasticky feeling rubber grips, and most e-bikers these days want a throttle. The Rogue has one. No desire to pedal? No worries. Now the grips may be cheap, the shifter not. It's not the Mickey Mouse style that we usually see. It's an actual trigger shifter with a view window and a brand, Shimano. +1 for the shifter, +2 for the brakes, Zoom branded hydraulic brakes. Hydraulic brakes with a motor shut-off switch for safety, you know I like to see that. On the left side of the bars, a bell. Never turn down a free bell. Most folders have a center-mounted display. Here, this S866 is mounted over on the left side. No frills, it's in kilometers per hour to start out, but I'll be changing that in a minute. Another +1, a quick release handlebar clamp, meaning if you share the bike, no need to bring out a wrench and reorient the brake levers between riders. It's easy to do with the quick release. There's also a quick release for the bar height. Back to the right side for what some companies upcharge for, a phone holder. An easy $10 to $15 upsell included on the Rogue, and a +1 because this isn't just a phone holder. Closer look, see that wire? It's powered. It has a USB port so you can charge your phone while you ride. Some people fret over folding bars, but there's a safety latch, and as you'll see, this one has been torture tested. The red latch matches the red lockout, and on the other side, there's a preload adjuster for the bike's suspension fork. This is branded Mozo, a brand I've ridden a time or two or three. And another +1 because check it out, a quick release for the front wheel, a wheel that's one of those little fatties that you know I love. Knobby Chaoyang tires with their 3mm Hippo Skin Plus Aramid Flock Breaker, which is a fancy term for puncture resistant. 20x4.0, one of my favorite tire sizes with correspondingly wide rims. These little tires add some cushion while riding. The suspension fork adds to that. Also of note, along with the quick release, the hubs are branded. Now I've never seen this brand before, but there is a brand. The wheels are wrapped with metal color matching fenders on the front and the rear, and up front there's a fender tab mounted headlight. Crooked Path says this is 300 lumen. At the rear, another +1, a tail light sufficiently bright it gets a +1 because it's also a functioning brake light. The usual folding bike collapsing Welgo pedals on a Pro Wheel crankset, and that crankset has a 52-tooth chainring and a metal guard. On the opposite side, the sealed magnet cadence sensor. Back to the drive side where the magic happens. Starting with the derailleur on the budget side, a Tourney TZ, and you may see the 6 down here. These work for 6 or 7 speed, and in this case it's paired to a 7-speed Shimano freewheel motor. This can make or break an e-bike, and definitely this is a +1, a Bafang motor. 48 volts, 750 watt, that's 1100 peak. Bafang hands down the champs of affordable hub motors and powerful. Enough power to push this bike up to a stated 28 miles per hour. Though it comes out of the box as a Class 2, 20 miles per hour. Why this is upside down, I have no idea, -1. What's not upside down, this rear shock. Not massive travel, but with the pivot system, it's definitely enough to handle city streets without issue. Rogue is the name, but I keep fighting back calling it Rogue 1. I mean, Stormtrooper colors. This Arctic finish, well applied and tough. Not easy to scratch. This was done by FedEx. FYI, I've been told that they have repacked every single bike to keep any damage from happening. Safety latch on the drive side. On the left side, the only thing is a port, and that's for charging the battery. And like every other folding bike, there's a folding stand mounted to the bottom bracket. There's a key lock on the underside of the top tube, and yes, the key needs to be in it for it to power on. Opening up and folding is just like every other fat tire folding e-bike, and that means cumbersome. And this is a good point to talk about the battery, which is housed in the top tube and easy to remove. This is a LonG bicycle brand. 48 volt, 16 amp hours, 768 watt hours. That's about 6 amp hours more than the average single battery folding e-bike. Stated range 30 to 70 miles per charge. Fat tire folding e-bikes definitely not easy to move around when folded, but they do save space. The display does have a backlight, even on the buttons, which is fun to play with. There are 5 pedal assist modes, battery levels, etc. I'll show you more on that in a second. The included manual, kind of like the display, a no frills look, but it is very detailed in information, so not the usual manual. And it also has the customizable P settings, including the setting for unlocking the bike to 28 miles per hour. I'm here for the kilometer to mile change, which works exactly like it says in the manual. Maybe there's something to these colors looking like a stormtrooper. Speed settings, Imperial. At the rear, you can see the taillight is mounted to the metal rear rack, and that has side guards for possible pannier use, and a stated rating, a capacity up to 50 pounds. It also has a spring-loaded letter carrier. Here's a better look at the Zoom hydraulic disc brakes. Now the rotors, 180 millimeters both front and rear. A good assembly of off-the-shelf parts, but the story, as always, in the ride. Which I'm going to do differently here, not my usual testing footage. Instead, I'm going to tell you and let you see just a few clips, because this bike has endured more torture than any folding bike I've ridden. Because I loaned it out, and it spent a good 50 plus miles on mountain bike trails. Actual mountain bike trails. Something I recommend against for folding e-bikes. I mention it here to impress upon you that this bike wins the award for most durable tested folder so far. And I'm talking not just riding on mountain bike trails and riding down steps, but doing just absolutely stupid stuff with an e-bike, stuff that you just shouldn't do. Was it fun? Absolutely. Was it even more fun to watch? Double absolutely. Let me just get into some good data for you. Claimed range 30 to 70 miles. Actual, based on testing, 25 to 60, so not far off. Top speed claimed 28 miles per hour unlocked, but like most hub-driven e-bikes with the 7-speed freewheel and the 58-tooth front chain ring, you're really going to run out of pedal at about 25 miles per hour. Is it possible to hit 28 miles per hour on this bike? Absolutely. Can most people hold that speed? Probably not. I dropped it back down to class 2 where I think it's just as much fun. Throttle only top speed, 20 miles per hour and mega torque. I mean, there is lots of torque on the throttle. I left the bike on and didn't realize it and went to move it. I bumped the throttle and literally ran myself over. The bruise lasted almost 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks of torture, the bike fared far better than me. This finish is tough. There's only a small scratch or two and lots of dust and grime, and some of that grime was rinsed off because I rode it in the rain, and yes, it does well in the rain. Though I don't recommend you ride an e-bike in the rain unless you know what you're doing because it gets slippery. So the finish still looks great. I mean, just very minor battle damage. And remember, this was ridden on a trail, an actual mountain bike trail with lots of roots, over 50 miles. Some metal fenders rattle like crazy. These are pretty secure. The rear suspension, not massive travel, but even on mountain bike trails, it helped. On city streets, pleasantly smooth to ride. Now, I usually measure a fork's travel, but I didn't do that before I boxed this bike back up, so here's how much it moves. Let's talk about the display again. On top of the 5 pedal assist settings that can cycle through via the up and down arrows, there are a couple of alt modes. Along with the odometer, there's a trip meter, voltage measurement, and ride time. Hydraulic brakes, one of my pluses, and they work great. I wish I could find some of these so I could use them for some other upgrades. Look at this folding stand. They're one of the reasons I say not to ride folding e-bikes on a mountain bike trail or any trail, but this one doesn't hang down very far, only a couple of millimeters past the chain ring. For a bike that's an assembly of off-the-shelf parts, this is well thought out, and there are a few nice perks added in. This has held up to more abuse than I've put any other folding e-bike through, and abuse that I wouldn't wish on any folding e-bike. And it's no worse for the wear. I had to tighten one nut the entire time I had it for testing. Now, I've given this quite a few pluses, and it's well deserving of those, but there are some potential minuses where the budget choices show up, or other, like the upside down class rating. The headlight, they say 300 lumens, doubtful. Grips, hard and not very grippy. In southern humidity, they get slippery without gloves, especially the throttle, which is plastic. And that's about it for the potential minuses. Now, there are some sizing notes, like the handlebars won't go lower than this. And this is a tall bike. Stand over at the hinge, which is its lowest point, 27.5 inches. With the seat slammed, and it will go all the way down, 33 inches at its lowest. Bars at their lowest, 49 inches. All the way up, which is limited by the wire bundle, 51.5 inches. Max seat height, 49.5. No joke, 49.5, which shocked me at just how far this seat post would come up. It was like a clown pulling out handkerchiefs. And kind of looks like a clown bike with it all the way up, but this could definitely fit a very tall person. Short or tall, you can go rogue and ride like the wind. Pricing is $14.99, and if you're in the Tulsa area, I think they even deliver. I'm happy to have had the chance to review this bike, and I wish them well. The owner certainly cares about what his customers experience, and if he backs up what he says, this could definitely be one of the best supported e-bikes in the US market. And that's my look at the Crooked Path Rogue. I'll put a link down in the description so you can go check it out. They also have a step-through model and I think 2 other colors. Thanks for watching KevCentral. Have a great day.